Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 318 of the show with no name. I'm your humble host, Nick, and in today's episode, we're going to be visiting another little old farmer pioneer cemetery out here in the middle of nowhere in Washington State. And this cemetery goes by the name of the County Line Cemetery. I have a couple of people to talk about in this cemetery, so let's get into this. This cemetery is mostly of German and Russian heritage, and it was originally called the Emmanuel German Congregational Cemetery. And I have reason to believe that there was a church nearby at one time. It's crazy how many churches have been removed out here over the years, but like I've said in many episodes before, a lot of these little old farmer pioneer cemeteries always usually had a church right down the street from them back in the day. The first person I'm going to talk about in the County Line Cemetery today was named Katie Kister, and she was born on May 24th, 1895, and she would pass away at the young age of 22 on July 2nd, 1917, in Adams County, Washington. Her death came as a result of poisoning from eating candy, ironically enough. She was in the hospital for weeks, but ultimately succumbed to her fate. She has no visible headstone here, and I was not able to find any pictures of her anywhere. Then there's the Kramer family out here at this cemetery, and I'm going to talk about Annie Kramer specifically. She was born on May 13th, 1989, and she would pass away on January 10th, 1903 at the age of 13. I found an article in the Odessa Record, January 16th, 1903, that states, Annie Kramer, a terrible accident occurred at the farm home of Peter Kramer, living 18 miles southeast of Odessa last Saturday afternoon, the victim being Mr. Kramer's 13-year-old daughter, Annie, who is also a sister of Mrs. C. A. Kine of this city. She was shot by a gun in the hands of her brother, Michael, aged 19 years. The charge entering her right breast, killing her almost instantly. The following story of the accident is told by C. H. Kine, who received news by telephone shortly after it occurred and later visited the scene. Mr. Kramer and his two sons went to Ritzville in the morning, leaving his wife, Michael, and Annie at home. They had a late dinner, after which Miss Kramer suggested to Michael that he take the gun and go out and try to shoot a rabbit. He lingered for some time, however, romping about the house with his sister Annie. The two were always together and seemed very fond of each other. Finally, Mrs. Kramer again spoke to Michael about going hunting, and he went to where the gun hung and took it down and made it ready to do his mother's bidding. He stood at the door with it in his hand when his sister tagged him with a stick. He tagged her back, and after several passes were made, he lifted the gun, which was loaded, gripped it unknowingly with his finger on the trigger, and tagged her the last time. The barrel was pressed against her when the gun went off, and the full charge entered her right breast. She fell to the floor, and the boy dropped down beside her and pleaded for forgiveness, but she was unable to speak. Mrs. Kramer did not know what she could do to stop the flow of blood from the wound and sent the boy to Ritzville, 12 miles distant, for a doctor. Arriving at Griffith's Corners, 4 miles from town, he met his father and brothers and told them what had happened. Before they could arrive home, the girl was dead. She lived but a few minutes after she was shot. The boy, nearly crazed with grief, and implored his father to shoot him on the spot. His mind has since become partly deranged over the affair, and a constant watch has to be kept over him. Heinrich Schaefer was born in Russia on October 25th, 1986, and he would pass away on October 30th, 1903 at the age of 17 in Odessa, Washington. The result of typhoid fever. He is buried here with his 2-year-old sister Matilda. The rest of the family are buried in various cemeteries around the United States. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the Schmidt children. In this cemetery, my favorite headstone is a tribute to 3 children, Lorenz, Harold, and Matilda. And they're buried here together, sharing the same headstone. Their parents and other siblings are buried elsewhere, but I thought this was a really special headstone that paid tribute to the 3 children, whom all died at a really young age out here. And it's something that typically happens with these old farmer pioneer cemeteries is a family will move somewhere, have a couple kids, maybe a couple kids pass away, but then they have to move somewhere else, and those kids are just forever left to themselves in the old cemetery. I hope you guys enjoyed my walkthrough of this little old pioneer cemetery today, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.